Hello, and welcome to another video. This video we're playing some Gunnery Commando. I actually just made this character. I haven't had a commando in a long time. Last one I had, I deleted it. Apparently my Pierce commando rifle, whatever you call it, assault cannon, is still on, still shone, so I'm using the blackout one. It actually looks pretty cool. It doesn't sound bad either. I wasn't really a fan of the blaster sound for the Fierce one, so oddly surprised the blackout one is actually kind of nice. Anyway, we're playing the burst tactical. Premonition is typically not very good for PvP because you need to have really good uptime and also you need to not miss. So typically you're just going to go for the burst. I'm also running the AoE heat seeker, I think, here in this situation. So that is most of the AoE damage that you're seeing outside of using the grenade, which is a fusion missile. I don't know all the commando name variants, so do forgive me. A lot of them I'll just refer as mercenary. Anyway, for the most part, Arsenal, it's really not that bad. It has pretty good defenses, but its mobility suffers and its defensives are kind of what carries it. So if you're not very good at positioning, you're in a bad spot, and also you have to pick between shut out or reflect. I don't really like this choice. I honestly don't feel like mercenaries should have ever gotten reflect in the first place. I really feel like they should have gotten power yield, and PT should have gotten reflect. But that's a little too late to fix that, to be honest. And I think for the most part, jet out is going to be better 9 times out of 10 because you have a mobility issue, and unless you get the free cast for a whole match, you're pretty much always going to find a use out of jet out, even if you're using it for mobility. But let's say you're just solo queuing and you have second wind and you're not really paying much attention, or you just don't really care. Maybe you don't know how to position correctly, or you know people are just going to go for you no matter what, which is sometimes what's going to happen no matter what. Mercenary is a great target. Then reflect is totally justified and very good. Though if you ever have the chance where you actually have frontline and you know you have a healer or whatever, which I notice I have a frontline and a healer in this match, that jet out will just be better. So that's the general rule of thumb if you're looking at what you should take. I do think jet out should not give you the anti-leap field, and it shouldn't give you the extra like reduced cooldown for an extra one. I feel like that should actually be a thing. I think that should be something that you spec into, but since obviously you spec into jet out, you know, that being a thing makes sense. One thing that they could add to it, honestly, is to make it a root breaker as well. It's really silly that it's not. The ability would be 10 times better if it actually root break, instead of doing the extra CDR for an extra charge. Make it just way more usable, way more useful, and like make it immune to slows while you use it. Kind of like how roll works. That'd be actually really, really good for the class and mobility of the class, because currently the mobility is a little too bad, I would say. Other than that, predation does boost the movement speed of mercenaries a little bit more than it should. This is a bug that I've talked about a couple times, but when you do have a predation, you actually don't feel that immobile. Other than that, the whole ideal for doing damage is, you know, I'm building stacks through blazing bolts for my priming shot, and outside of that, I am just trying to tracer as much as I can. And typically you want to fit one more tracer after you've reset your blazing bolts, to not have to spam 3 tracers back to back to back just to use blazing bolts in case you run into a situation where you need to do damage in a pinch. Anyway, it'll also feel better for your rotational flow. Another thing to keep in mind is don't use your priming shot if you already have too many supercharged gas. You don't want to just override your supercharged gas and basically waste 2 or 3 stacks for nothing. But typically you don't really have to worry about that, and most times you're not going to be in that situation where that's even a thing that you have to think about. For the most part, this isn't the highest damage I've done on Arsenal. You know, I've had about other Arsenal videos. I don't really upload this class very often, but I figured, hey, I recorded this. I haven't really been playing SWTOR. Not that I don't enjoy it. I've been mostly playing arenas if I run into the game. Other than that, there's like a solo queue match that I'll play, or I'll get on and play with somebody. I just haven't really been playing past couple of days. A lot of work, and in between that I've been enjoying the Legion remix. I've actually been playing that. That's actually been fun. I max leveled a Warlock. Realized that Warlock is basically madness if I play Affliction, so that's cool. And then I've been playing New World lately, so I'm actually even considering maybe making a new channel entirely just for New World, because I don't really want to upload New World stuff to this channel, as I've been so dedicated to SWTOR for so long. I don't want to bore you guys with New World stuff. I have uploaded New World in the past, but honestly, I feel like mixing it up is it's just pointless. I mean, making a new channel is so easy. Not a big deal. Though I'm not certain on that one. You guys are wanting to see New World stuff, let me know though. I'll be happy to make some things. I did feel like I'm relatively enjoying the game again, so I might end up actually playing it quite a lot. Considering you don't really have to pay anything to play it, there would be no reason for me to unsub to SWTOR. We are still waiting for 5.8, so that is definitely something that I am excited for. They have so much potential to actually do more than just what they're planning on doing. I don't know whether they will or not, so I'm trying not to get my hopes up too high. One thing that I'm really hoping for them to do is just add some new sub bonuses, maybe change the meta, buff or nerf something, like just change the game in some sort of way. Even like changing a healer would change the game overall so drastically. I would love to just see like anything new, just anything at all. Also, if you are curious of what my stats are, I'm only running 2 enhancements for alacrity and 2 enhancements for accuracy. I felt like missing was just a little too bad for my rotation and my damage just overall. So I definitely wanted the accuracy. I could drop the accuracy and go more mastery and get a lot more damage and hit a lot harder. I've hit up to 147k, by the way. That's really freaking high. The scaling with Arsenal is really starting to pop off. Other burst specs are really going to start hitting pretty hard, especially if we end up getting to the like 340 tier. I don't know if we're going to get that, but I imagine we were going to get that pretty soon. And the main reason I assume that is because they're making it so easy to get to 340, and then also they're potentially going to see 344 be maybe potentially raised, even though we don't have content that would actually require that, but maybe they'll do some rebalancing there. But until then, we don't really know. I hope they do. We are probably going to see something at the very least. Other than that, I really do think that they could easily add in set bonuses. It's a very easy way for them to change the meta and change the game up a little bit and make it a little bit more fun. I'd love to see things like Def Knell even in a nerfed form. Obviously Deception is already performing pretty well, and so is what do you call it, Hatred. And in PvE they're already performing really well, so something like that would probably never happen because it would just make them way too strong. But it would be nice to see it as, even if it was a PvP only thing, I think it would be interesting, but even then it's just like, it's probably still overperforming. Other than that, things like right price, I think right price should definitely come back to the game. There is really no downside to that. I don't like the nerfed version of right price. I do think there should be like a middle ground between the nerfed version of right price and the unnerfed version of right price. Things should be like in between. So there's no need to immediately nerf it when it comes out. That would be really nice. Not having a good secondary implant for pyro feels kind of meh, and then having an extra option for AP and shield tech would just be awesome. Because currently there isn't really much of a choice there. It would also be nice to see Firestorm actually do some damage on tank once again. There's other things that they could do, like hopefully they don't do anything like Descend of the Fearless. I really don't want to see that set come back. That was not a fun set. It was not an interesting set. Did not interact with the game very well. You would more often than not get Phantom GCDs or Ghost GCDs as they're called. because of that ability, it would be off the global cooldown. You would hit it, and what would happen there is somehow it would give it an animation, and you would get screwed out of a global cooldown. Anyway, that's pretty much it for this video. I'm sorry I'm not really talking about gunnery, but you know, I figured I wanted to post something in for you guys. Hope you guys are having a good holidays. I guess it's about to be Halloween, so catch you guys again soon with another video.